the West begins in Fort Worth, Texas, to around the globe. You are listening to Talk of the Night. And now, your host, Paranormal Phil. Thank you, and good evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the world, around the globe, or even in your own backyard. I am Paranormal Phil, and later on in the show tonight, we're going to be joined by my guest, Lynne Cockrum-murphy, as we talk about energy healing and spiritual teaching. But first, up on the Talk of the Night website, under the story of the day, are you more sensitive if you listen to ASMR? Research finds that if you love to listen to ASMR, you may be more sensitive. Do you feel a tingling sensation when you hear a whisper or other sound that stimulates that feeling in your brain? If you had felt this feeling, you may be familiar with ASMR, also known as Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. For those that don't know what ASMR is or ever heard of it, it's a head tingling sensation that people experience various sensory triggers from sounds like brushing hair, tapping, and similar sounds. There is, however, an intriguing question. Why do only some people that feel that tingling sensation? Of course, you can read more by clicking on the link, which I actually messed up and still got it on Daily Beast, so it's not the right link, but I will correct that probably during one of the commercial breaks. So let's get into a little bit about Lynne before we bring her in. Lynne Cockrum-murphy, ED, is an intuitive teacher, counselor, healer, speaker, and author specializing in helping spiritually minded people live in possibility and realization. She uses, and I know I'm probably going to mess up this word, but I'm sure she'll correct me, Theta healing, energy healing, and channel divine guidance to facilitate healing and change. Dr. Lynne supports clients by removing blocks to success by releasing suffering, trauma, and old sabotaging patterns. Everyone can access a happier, healthier life. Dr. Lynne is a certified Theta healer and instructor, a licensed substance abuse counselor, meditation instructor, an Amazon best-selling author, a retired adjunct university professor, and special education teacher. She is the author of 4 books, all Amazon #1 bestsellers: Living Hope, Unfolding the Mystery of Self, and A Journey
with Matthew.
Book 1, Awakening, and all her other books, which you can find up on her website. Dr. Lynne is known for leading deeply inspiring high vibration group meditation and taught spiritual and healing classes throughout the U.S. and the Caribbean. So I'm going to post all that up on the show's website, her bio and everything like that. But please welcome my guest, Dr. Lynne Cockrum-murphy.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really glad to be here with you. And Phil, thanks so much for inviting me to be on your show.
Mm-hmm. All right. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I've had a very unusual life because there's been so much trauma in it until or up through age 25, at which time things really calmed down and life got good. But as a child, I had lost my father and sisters in a house fire. I was seriously injured in that house fire and lived in the hospital for a while. I still have scars on my body. Fortunately, over the decades, they fade. But that was such a trauma. You know, it's affected my whole life. Then my mom remarried a couple of years later and entered into a emotionally abusive relationship. That gentleman died when I was 10. When I was 9. My mother married again when I was 10, and that turned into an abusive relationship, an alcoholic abusive relationship. So for me, the main thing that came out of all that is, this is not the life I want. Mm-hmm. You know, I see all these examples of suffering, and I don't want to live that way. I don't want turmoil in my household. So it motivated me in two ways. One was to make sure I created a life that wasn't full of turmoil, that had a lot of peace. And secondly, the other response was to dive deep into, what is my spiritual self? Where is my comfort? And that's, I think, what saved my neck, because usually, or very often, not usually, but very often, growing up in an alcoholic household, kids learn to turn to alcohol or to repeat the behaviors that they're seeing in their family. Because how could you not when that's what you're familiar with? Yeah. But often the response can be, by God, I'm not going to have that in my life. And that's what I chose. So it took until I was, I would say, I was on and off course as a teenager, because I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And then
I think we were
later
all there.
On, yeah. So, and then 18 and on, then I started settling in and maturing, and went to college. And I actually even lived in two different spiritual communes. One was Buddhist, one was metaphysical Christian. And because I needed guidance. You know, I just didn't have my own when I was young. Needed guidance. And then after I was 25, I was out on my own, and I really did okay. I just kept looking for, what is it that I need to grow into the kind of human being I want to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
you obviously found that life that you wanted, and it's worked out great for you, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say that it was right around that time, when I was 30. So about when I was 28, I met my husband, got married, and we have been married 37 years, I believe. I do lose count. Yeah. Anyway, married quite a long time. And my home is really small and lovely and peaceful, and it has the kind of energy that we both enjoy living in. Mm-hmm. It is. It does have a lot of cats. We have 5. We never meant to, but they just kept showing up, saying, without saying it with words, "I don't have a place to live. Take me in." Yeah. So we did.
Well, I had one cat that I still have to this day. A couple of years back, before the big ice storm here in North Texas. I was sitting halfway in, halfway out my door, having a cigarette, relaxing, and this stray cat that called the apartment home. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure it's probably a cat that somebody dropped off and left. But it came into my house, jumped up on my couch, and has been here ever since. Now, he does like going in and out, but he chose me other than me going to a shelter and choosing him.
No, that's so sweet. You provided a safe place, and the cat knew it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into your whole topic and everything like that. What kind of services do you offer?
Okay. I work with people who have some kind of belief in something greater than themselves. If a person had no faith in anything whatsoever, it would not work out so well. And based upon the fact that they believe in something greater than themselves, I work with them to tap into that energy. And a little bit like a counseling session, since I'm trained as a counselor, I ask them what do they want? What do they want to achieve today? What do we want to work on? And then I let that guide the conversation, and the whole rest of the time I'm using my intuition, my theta healing skills, and energy to direct what happens. So let's see, I worked with 2 people today. One is in an difficult marriage, and worked with her to find her own strength and inner peace. It's tough when a person doesn't want to leave a marriage, and the person they're married to isn't going to change. People don't change unless they want to.
Yeah.
And often the person who is perceived as needing to change doesn't think they need to change. So it's quite,
there's always that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right. So true. Yeah, so there's that kind of work. I worked with another person who had I think COVID has really affected people. Even people who didn't get sick, but this 2.5 year period has taken a toll. So
especially on mental health and everything like that.
Yeah, it has. And so worked with a person who is feeling the stress of that. She just feels drained. Is what it comes down to. So helping her get her perspective and her enthusiasm back. And that can mean, so I mentioned that the main technique I use is theta healing. And that can mean we might do a body scan where I get permission and then use my consciousness to enter their body and let their body tell me what they need. That's something that we do quickly and step right out of because you don't want to affect the person's energy by being in their space too long.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to get information. I also just listen for my own higher guidance, and it's amazing how that works. Because one of the things that happened today is I was saying in my head to myself, or to that higher consciousness, what is it that would really help her with all these different things that she's telling me? And a sentence came back to me that was just right on the money. See if I can find it. It was, I've compromised my truth.
Okay.
And when I asked her if she had compromised her truth, she said, absolutely. I started living for what other people needed from me instead of following my own higher guidance. And so that's what we worked on. And with everybody, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was just going to mention I had a client once who wanted, she wanted a job at a college and had interviewed several times and would never get that final interview and get the job. And so I worked with her on what was the problem, why didn't she let herself get that? And the answer turned out to be she was already working at one college and felt like she'd be abandoning her students if she went to the other college. Yeah. So she had to let go of the fact that her belief that her students needed her and wouldn't thrive without her, which, probably most of them would, and maybe a few wouldn't. But you're not supposed to hold their hands forever. They're college students.
Yeah, you're supposed to let them learn. Because, my parents, the way my parents brought me up is if you want anything or you want to know how to do something, get out there, do it, earn it yourself. And that is what got me to where I am today. I've had struggles and everything like that, but I keep pushing forward because I know eventually I'm going to get it right.
Well, and nothing's going to happen without your action. We can't just sit and think ourselves into what we want. We have to do the follow-up action. It's like there's a lot of jokes about that in Christianity about how, you pray and pray and pray, but when God sends the lifeboat, don't go, oh no, I'm waiting for God.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So for those that don't know what, and again, I think I said it right at the beginning, Theta, or is that how you?
Theta healing.
Theta healing. What is, for those that don't know what it is, what is the Theta healing?
Okay. Theta is a brainwave state. You know how, when we're sleeping, our brainwaves slow way down. When we're praying, our brainwaves slow down. But when we are chatting, when we're in a conversation, when we're in a classroom and your mind is really stimulated, your brainwaves speed up. So this is an intentional slowing of the brainwave state, and it opens you to contact with higher consciousness. So that's what we teach in Theta healing classes. So I was taught to slow my brainwaves down and kind of expand my consciousness, and then I can hear guidance. When you go through that kind of training, your intuition really develops. So I've been a Theta healer since 2013, and I've taken, since then, multiple courses, and now multiple instructor courses. So I teach a lot of it, too. So I use that slower brainwave state so I can access higher guidance. So it's not, it's not just Lynn going, well, I think you should so-and-so.
Yeah.
It's I'm hearing that the real problem underneath this is your lack of kindness to yourself, and let's talk about that. What is it that you need to change so that you're good to yourself?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and so is it kind of almost like meditation, if you will?
It is a meditative state, yes, very much so. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, because I want to ask, because, like me, I don't like to call myself a psychic medium, but I'm more of a I call myself a hyper empath because of all the abilities that I have. Is that something like what you're tapping into when you get that higher guidance, or?
Right, it's your intuition, exactly. Okay. It is that. The only difference is that mediums, and correct me if I misunderstand this, mediums talk to deceased relatives and stuff and bring messages, is that right?
Yeah, and like I said, I don't like to call myself a psychic or medium. Yes, I can do that kind of stuff, but I also can, I tend to be able to read people just by looking at them, their demeanor, everything like that. I can feel their energy and everything like that, and know when their bad energy is not good for me, or maybe they need somebody to help them snap them out of that bad energy.
Yeah, you sound like you're highly sensitive.
I think I have been since I was 5 years old. That's when I first saw my first spirit. So I've always, and then of course my parents reinforced that, because a lot of people lose that ability when we're young. Because we're told it's just our imagination and everything like that, or it's not real, and then they just lose that ability. Because if you notice, and a lot of people that don't know about this, if you look at real young kids or animals, and they're staring off in the distance or talking to somebody that's not there, 9 out of 10 times it's usually going to be a spirit there talking to, whether it be a deceased loved one or a guiding spirit or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly my experience too, is that it's natural, and then kids shut it down. And I know that one of my first experiences, I was 4 years old, and I stepped into the kitchen. And I remember I was shorter than the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big man in the room, and he scared me. Mm-hmm. And later on, when I worked with one of my psychic teachers, she said there was actually no person standing in the room. Mm-hmm. What you saw was an entity, mm-hmm. a more malevolent entity, and you had every right to be scared. Mm. So, yeah, those things happen when we're young. And then, but as I think about being a teenager and being older, I had intuitive moments, but I didn't see dead people. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the way I've described it many times on my show. I kind of coined the phrase "the Santa Claus effect." And if any kids are listening, please tune away for a second. I don't want to destroy your reality. But anyways, the way I described the Santa Claus effect and that ability, and like you're talking about being intuitive and everything like that, same thing, concept. But basically, when we're young, we're told Santa Claus is real, and as we grow older, that we're told that he's not real. Same thing with the spirit world and be able to see him, or that intuitive ability and stuff. It's always going to be there, but when we're young, we're able to see that kind of stuff or feel that kind of stuff. And as we get older, we're told that it's not real. It's not our imagination, like I said earlier, and stuff like that. And that ability gets pushed from our conscious mind to our deep in our subconscious, to where we lose that ability in a sense.
Mm-hmm. And I've talked with quite a few intuitives who've said that they shut it down for a while because it made them different than other people, or because it scared them, or because it was inconvenient when, you wake up in the middle of the night and there's an entity standing next to your bed. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of people have had good reasons to try to step away from it.
Yeah, no, there are ways to shut it down. I mean, I learned how to do that. It took me a while to do it, but of course, as highly sensitive as I am, I tend to get all the spirits, whether they're good, bad, because I'm wicked myself. Mm-hmm. So I don't call them angels or demons. I call them light entities, dark entities, and everything like that. But whatever the case, if I'm around a group of people, and I try not to get around a big, large group of people unless I know I got shut down good enough to where it's not going to bother me, because as soon as I open myself up, they all come rushing in.
Yeah. I've had some years like that too, and I was really glad when it changed, because it's not like you can just ignore them,
Yeah.
So I was taught if they aren't of the light, if they're lost, then how to send them to the light. That's one of the things we teach in Theta healing, to send them to the light. And, generally, even though some of them kind of kick and scream on the way because they don't want a change, about the time they hit the light, they say thank you. They're really grateful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could tell you so many stories, but tonight's about you. So how all does Theta healing work? I mean, is it just like the meditation and contacting, guiding spirit or whatever to help the person heal?
It is accessing God consciousness through the Theta brainwave state. So we really practice getting into Theta, knowing when you're slipping out, and knowing how to get back in and stay there. So, because if you work with people for, a couple hours in a row, you want to stay in Theta. And, like if there are some psychic fairs and some expos that I've worked at, so you're there 8 hours. And yeah, you want to stay in Theta the whole time. So you just teach yourself how to do that. It is, it means that you're getting information all the time. So if I'm working at an expo and there's a lot of other, there could be a couple hundred people in the room, I have to kind of put up boundaries and step back so that I'm not overwhelmed by all the energy and the emotions and the thought forms and stuff.
Yeah, I know how that is. Because I've had been part of seances where the team that I was working with, they had a psychic and everything like that did all like the seances, but a lot of times I had to go down there after everything, or at least during it, because like I mentioned, all that energy, all those spirits and everything would bum rush her, and by me going down there, I took away some of that energy so she wasn't overwhelmed. And I know how it can be overwhelming when you have all that energy kind of piled up on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would put a lot of light around myself to protect myself from it, but also to kind of create a shield, because I don't want that much input. Because when someone walks up to my table, wants me to do a reading for them, I can't be inundated with other people's energy. I need to be able to focus on them and their guides, their angels, and bring the messages to them that way. Yeah, so you really have to be able to separate yourself from all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now is Theta healing right for everybody? Is it the right choice for people?
You know how some people say that they can't meditate? Mm-hmm. So I think for some people, like people who feel like they can't meditate, then Theta healing wouldn't be something they would want to learn, because they'd have difficulty moving into that state and staying there. But for the majority of people, if you have a belief in something greater than yourself, it doesn't have to be, somebody else's God. It's your own. That's why I usually call it creator.
Yeah.
The creator of all that is, because that's a little less stuck with a lot of meaning, that's been put there for thousands of years. So anybody can learn it, anybody can do it. And the only thing that I found with the people that I've taught, because many of them take lots of classes and then in their own work, they do Theta healing. They provide readings and healings and things like that. Occasionally, I've had a student that goes, oh, wait, I'm mistaken. I don't want to learn how to do this. I want this done for me. And so, they don't go on to help others. They know that that's a service that they want for themselves. Yeah. It doesn't matter, as long as you're on your path and moving forward. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways, so many directions, so many paths. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one a person chooses as long as it fits for them.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We got about 2 minutes before the break here, but so I mean, like myself. I mean, you mentioned about Buddhism and Christianity and everything like that, and of course, Wiccans. A lot of people misunderstand Wiccans, and I tried to help people understand that we're all kind of the same. It's just a matter of wording and stuff like that. We all believe in that higher power. I mean, of course, Wiccans got multiple gods and deities, but they do believe in a higher power that created everything. But, I mean, like I said, with me believing in light entities and dark entities, it can be construed as angels and demons, just a matter of wording. And what kind of people do you think would not be best for Theta healing?
Oh, that is a really good question. Someone with no faith, And that's about it. Because I think even if you have a lot of fear, that can be healed. Whatever created all that fear, that can be healed. So, it doesn't matter if you're Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Jewish, doesn't matter.
Okay.
In fact, Theta healing is taught all over the world. I can't believe how many countries it's taught in. And the woman that created it, she has taken it around the world and taught people how to teach it so that it can be shared even when she's not there.
Okay, well, I want to ask about that as far as where it was created and everything, but we'll do that after the short commercial break. So we'll be right back after the short commercial break with my guest, Lynne Cockrum-murphy, as we talk about energy healing and spiritual teaching. We'll be right back after the short commercial break.
Feeling all lost in the waves now. Taking me over, making me older, making me doubt what I say now. Monsters in my head, yeah, they keep on calling. Never ending, till the moment you walked in. You've got this hypnotic effect when you're next to me. One look and you help me forget I was on my knees.
Do you have a talk radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube show and would like guests for your show but don't know where to go to get them? Well, go to radioguestlist.com and sign up today. They have all different experts in different fields and you can find the ones that are just right for your show. That's radioguestlist.com. Sign up today. It's free.
To advertise on Talk in the Night, send an email to talkinthe.night@outlook.com. Talk in the Night has plans to fit your budget. Get your product or business heard around the world by the Talk in the Night listening audience. Plans include 30-second spots and banner ads on the show's website and mentioned on the social media sites. So get your product or business heard around the world today. Shop the Talk in the Night merch store today and pick up one of the many products with 9 different designs to choose from. The store has men's and women's apparel, drinkware, houseware, and accessories. Pick up a t-shirt, coffee mug, or anything else on there and support the show today. Go to talkinthe.night.com to find a link to the merch store.
I had it all figured out. Knew which road I would go down. Thought I could do it all on my own. But then you came around. When fate has its way and things fall into place. All the plans you made don't make sense anymore. Honey, I am sure that love was a good detour. Love was a good
And now,
detour.
back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. Okay, and we are back with my guest, Lynne Cockrum-murphy, as we talk about energy healing and spiritual teaching. Now, before the break, you mentioned it's all around the world, but do you know exactly where Theta healing originated? Because when I look up the meaning of Theta, just that word, it mentions the 8th letter of the Greek alphabet.
I think that it is used because that word is used because of the brainwave state that we achieve and hold to do the work. The woman that created this program lived in Idaho Falls at the time that she created it. Okay. And she now lives in Montana, and that's where her teaching center is. And people come to her from all over the world, and then she goes around the world and teaches. I was noticing that in the next couple of months, she's going to be in Istanbul teaching. So just all over the world. And her family teach it now also. So people really have good access to it, whether they're in Bolivia or Istanbul or America.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, like I said, I looked at the meaning of Theta, and like I said, I saw Greek, so, and I'm thinking kind of like the Eastern Europe type, Mediterranean type, I never can pronounce that word, but that type of teaching in, like, maybe even East Asia, like Hinduism, Buddhism, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that it's, Theta healing is not a religion, but it does require faith in something. So with that, and with the ability to move into that state of consciousness, you can do all kinds of things. And one of the things that impressed me about the woman that created this method, her name is Vienna Stibble, and she had cancer in one of her legs, and it was getting worse, and it was becoming difficult to work, and she had a family to support. And she decided that she would just heal it, and she just sat down and had a conversation with Creator, and not only did the tumor disappear, but her leg had shrunk, and so she had difficulty walking because the leg had atrophied so much and the bone was shorter. And in that moment with that prayer, it totally returned to complete normalcy. So the limp was gone, the cancer was gone, the pain was gone. And she said, my God, I have to keep doing this, and I need to teach other people how. And I think that was part of the agreement that she made with Creator, is I will teach other people how to do this if you show me how to heal myself.
Heal myself, and I'll pass on the word and the message, basically, to, like, it helped me, it can help you. And I know a lot of people that would see that as, like, one of these faith healers that you see on TVs that don't do anything and stuff like that. And how do you combat something like that?
If someone calls me and asks me questions, I just answer all their questions and give them examples of experiences that I've had. But if they've had bad experiences, I just suggest that they try this, and if it feels right to them, go with it. And if it doesn't, don't. There might be a different method that works for them. Not everything's for everybody.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of faith in this method. It is the main method I used, and I've used other methods before. I've been trained in Reiki and energy healing and color therapies and things like that. But this is my favorite, and including a church that I've gone to over the last few years. They have their own healing methodology that they teach, and I've taken a class in that, but I still use Theta the most. Okay. And one of the things I haven't clarified is that two of the things that we do in Theta healing is identify with people what their limiting beliefs are, and then help them remove them. So if a person believes, I'm hopeless, I'll never be enough, I've always been a disappointment, parentheses, to my parents, but you translate that into I'm just a disappointment in life. If people have those kind of beliefs, we can remove them. I can only do that with the person's permission. I use the Theta brainwave state to do it, and I request or command that that change be made for that person right now, and that belief be replaced with a positive belief of anything is possible for me. I'm willing to take the action. I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to do the work. And I can do all this with grace and ease. Or, trying to think some of the examples that I've already given today. If a person is feeling powerless, to download them with, I have personal power and I know how to use it. And I use it appropriately. I use it in a healthy fashion. So almost any attribute, that's one of the things I love about it, any attribute that you feel like you're lacking in, we can download those for you. They don't come from me, they come from source. But I name them and ask that you be given them. So we have, in the advanced Theta class, we have a book full of, it's amazing, things like acceptance, compassion, understanding, wisdom, that we just ask that you be given those attributes, and we give some specifics about that, and then get your permission, and then ask Creator to give it to you. And it's life-changing. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I won't do any kind of magic or any kind of thing onto somebody. Like Wiccans, we believe if we do something bad to somebody, we're going to get back 3 times worse. And some people look at that as karma, whatever their belief system is they don't want to put out that bad energy to get 3 times back. And a lot of people might try to put that bad energy out there thinking they're not going to get something back, but it's going to come back to you 3 times as bad.
It will. That one of the laws of the universe is the law of cause and effect. That what you put out comes back. And so, yeah, put out what you want. Otherwise, you're going to get back the other.
Now, talking about Theta healing, what are the steps on each session?
Oh, okay. So it takes a few minutes at the beginning I encourage the person to tell me what's going on in their life and what they want to change. And it can be anything from, I'm not sure, but I know I need to be here, and so I do the body scan and give them the information on what I saw, heard, or felt. Or it can be very specific. The woman that I worked with today wanted to improve things at work, with the people that she worked with. She wanted it to be a better environment for everybody. So it's just kind of like whatever people want, that's where we go. I do think that having the counseling training makes some difference, makes it a little easier for me to say, stay on my side of the street and things like that. But they're really good Theta healers that I've worked with. My instructors, for example, are really good at having healthy boundaries, being able to make a difference, and knowing, what things you can't do. And for us, the only thing, without a person's permission, the only thing we can do is give unconditional love. So, if a person comes to me and wants their sister-in-law to have a different mentality, or a different view on life, I can't change that. I don't have that person's permission. But I can ask Creator to send them unconditional love and hope that opens doors for them, because it sure can.
Yeah, like I was talking about doing things for people. I mean, like me, I can't do something without letting them know that this is what's going to happen, but only if you allow it to happen. I mean, like, I've gone into a home, just to kind of use an example, I've gone into homes to cleanse them of the darker entities, the darker energy, and I tell people, and I know people sometimes don't listen, and this is leading up to my next question, is that I tell them that once I cleanse this home of this darker entity, it's up to you to keep it away, because if you do not, it will come back. So what happens to like you help, so they give you permission to help, but they go back to the same thought process.
Mm-hmm. So that is how it works. That if we can't help them change, then the same things will happen. I remember I once went and stayed with my aunt, and that night I had a dream that my uncle came into the room and asked me to help her because he had spent so many years living with her and all the negative energies that were with her. He was tired, and he didn't know how many years they had left, and he didn't want it to be like that anymore. So I did the work and cleared the entities with her. And then I wondered, like, how much of a difference did that make? Because she was still pretty grouchy the next day. So I wondered, did she just bring in new ones? I don't know. That's not something I could ask, since all of that happened through the subconscious. So with Theta, and it would be that way with counseling and a lot of other methods too, is you bring in the light and you bring in guidance, and we bring in downloads. Like, I know how to live without attracting dark energy. I know how to live aware of dark energy so I can walk away, and I am willing to walk away. Downloads like, I attract only light.
Yeah.
I enhance the light in others, and I magnify the light in myself, so I'm a light in the world. Darkness goes immediately to the light whenever it's around me. And then, it's absorbed by the light and isn't here anymore.
Yeah, I tend to find that when I go into a location to do a cleansing and everything like that, I make sure I'm surrounded by a white light and protected, because I know that those darker entities hate it, and they tend to run away from me when I come into the building. They know that light to them is a bad thing, and I'm sure that when you come in with that light around you and everything like that, that thought process, that energy, that it is rubbing off on the people that you're helping.
Yeah, so many people do come back and ask for more, and usually, so I have my website set up so that I offer packages of 4 sessions, and on the 4th one you get a discount, just to reinforce people for making a commitment and sticking with it. So one session will do something for you, but several really creates change, and that's what we want, so that we don't attract old patterns or entities or, the same old painful lessons in our life.
Now, what if somebody thinks, okay, 1 session is not enough, but 4 sessions is too much? Is there things that you handle that differently?
Yeah. I'm totally flexible. Yeah, so if a person wants 2, that's fine. If they want 3, that's fine. Okay. Some people work with me for a couple of years, and some people do 1 session. I'm really flexible. I want them to get what they need. Yeah. And I love doing the work, so it works out.
Okay. Now, what as far as like people dealing with stress or trauma, because I know I've been there, I've dealt with a lot of stress. I sometimes still do stress about things, but I try to focus on lighter things and positive thoughts. But that stress is always going to be there, and of course I've had trauma from my military days where I've had back. I have back issues. I got tremors in my right leg, and everything like that. And I tried to use meditation and rest in the body when it's. I know that it needs that rest in, but how does Theta healing help those dealing with stress and trauma?
Very good question. Okay. One of the things that we'll do is I'm going to offer you an example, and these are some of the downloads for stress. I know how to relax. I like to exercise to relieve stress. I can change situations that cause stress. I'm important. I release stress. I eat regular meals. I identify stress and release it. I like people. People like me. And success is mine. And then I say to the person, anybody who wants those downloads as part of their belief system, say yes. Mm-hmm. And if you say yes, then I automatically download them. So to your audience, etc., if you want those, say yes. And I ask Creator, download those for everyone that said yes.
Okay.
Download it on all 4 levels, every cell of their being, past, present, and future, and in all languages. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just pretty much kind of, in a way, helping them, but also giving them guidance to say, okay, I can say this, and it'll relieve that stress. It'll relieve that trauma in my brain, whether it be physical or mental, or and if they continue to kind of say that, then they'll start feeling better about it.
So the difference between this and affirmations, because those sound like affirmations, is that if we download them, they're yours. It's already part of your belief system at that moment.
Okay, so
if you never thought that way, it's yours now.
Okay, so rather than just kind of saying it and everything like that, that's just affirmation. So what you're doing is download it into their if you will, their conscious and everything like that, their spiritual soul and everything like that, so it stays with them.
Yes, exactly. And now the next step I would take is to ask to have released the program of all the shock and trauma that you're carrying from what happened. So anybody who wants this that's listening, you included, when I say Creator Ed is commanded to pull the shock and trauma that this person was just talking about or just thinking about or has recently experienced or has experienced at any time in their life, pull that shock and trauma into your light, relieve them of all that, and in this place, add more of your unconditional love. Thank you. It's done.
Okay. Sorry, I had to get a drink of water. So let's get on to some other things. Now, what is like spiritual growth? How does it help?
For me, it gives me something strong and foundational to live by. And when I was young, that was really critical because coming out of a chaotic, violent, turbulent household, I needed that so I would feel okay in the world. For now, of course, that's changed a lot. But it means that I have tools for helping others. I have ways to help myself, that I can feel like I'm part of the group that is working to raise the vibrations of the planet, that is praying to release Russian leadership from impinging on the rights of others, to bring positive energy and healing, light and love to people in Ukraine and other surrounding countries that are suffering right now. So it's very empowering. I hope I've not moved off from your question.
Oh, no. You're good. Just because, I mean, a lot of people, I think at the start of the pandemic, and I mean, I have my own opinions, but we're not talking about that tonight, so we did that last night. But anyways, I think a lot of people are kind of losing, or during the start of everything, kind of started losing faith in certain things, and can this help in any way on kind of helping bring back that faith? I'm not saying they lost it completely, but lost enough of it to where they're like, where do I go in this life? What happens? Like you mentioned about them, like the one person, what if I go to this other college and something happens?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the ways that we can help people is show them how to hear their own inner voice and their own higher guidance, so that they know when and what they do is what's for their highest and best. Because it's like, and at the same time, you can't really make any mistakes. Because the worst that can happen is you end up in what isn't the right place, and you learn a lot of lessons, and then you get back on path. I know that happened to me once when we had moved, and my husband was really nervous that we both get jobs immediately. So the first job I was offered, he told me to take it. And it didn't feel right, and I took it. And it was the most miserable year.
I always say do something that you love to do. I've done a lot of jobs. I've had fun, like working at amusement parks. I loved scaring the heck out of people, even though I operated rides. But during Halloween, I loved scaring people there too. But it was something I loved to do. I didn't make a whole lot of money at it, and I wish I would have been able to make more money at it. But I know a small amusement park, even a big amusement park, ain't gonna pay that much. But I did something I loved to do rather than just working any 9-to-5 job. And doing radio, that's what I love to do. I found a passion that I love to do. It started out as a hobby, and now it's turning into a career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Isn't that great that you found something that just really fits you just right? And I think that we can all have that. It's following that inner guidance of, that job's tempting because it pays $90,000 a year, but God, I would have to give up this. I'd have to give up that. Where this other job pays $70,000 a year, but they have a couple of bonuses, and I don't have to give up anything.
Yeah.
So that following that inner guidance, there are several ways to do it. One is go with your gut. That remember when I was teaching school, if I wanted to stop in and chat with the principal, if my gut clenched up as I was headed towards her door, I knew it was a bad day to go and talk to her. That she had bigger problems or too much on her mind. She was busy. So either sense your gut or follow your intuition, or some people use methods like dowsing or muscle testing. Really easy to learn how to muscle test, and that's a good way to get answers for yourself.
Okay. Real quick, because we got 2 minutes before the break, but what is muscle testing? Because, it's something new that I've never heard of. And I'll admit when I haven't heard of something.
So I first encountered it at a chiropractor's office. He wanted me to take some supplements, and he would have me stick my arm out, see how strong it was, and then he would have me hold the supplement and see how strong it was. And if I was as strong or stronger than before I was holding it, then he knew that it was a good supplement for me. And if it made my arm weaker, then it was not for my body. And so that was my introduction to it. The other way that you can do that is you can hold your bottle of vitamins against your chest and see which way your body leans. Does it lean towards it or away from it? Okay. You can also do that by making a statement. You can stand and say, it's for my highest and best to eat liver. And if you float forward, that's a yes. Even if you hate liver, your body probably wants it, but it doesn't mean you have to eat it.
Yeah, well,
you could say,
the brain is always going to say, Me, I grew up on the coast of California, near the coast of California, and people are like, why don't you like fish? I was like, something about it is just my brain. I mean, I grew up kind of smelling the sea and the fresh seafood, and it just does not really whet my appetite, if you will.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I have a girlfriend from San Francisco, and she feels the same way about it. She can't stand fish. It's because, I guess, growing up around it and the smell.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour, so we'll be right back after the short commercial break with my guest, Lynne Cockrum-Murphy, as we continue talking about energy healing and spiritual teaching. And also, we'll have the phone lines open and the chat open on Spreaker where you can ask a question of my guest. We'll be right back after the short commercial break.
Still I breathe. Still I breathe. Mother, can you hear the gods? And how they laugh at me. Suddenly the highest of all peaks seem unobtainable to me. But still
The weather is getting warmer and people are out and about. Well, if you love ghost hunting, now is the time to pick up some new gear. GhostStop.com has a wide variety of equipment to choose from, and one of those items is Blue Buddy. He's back. The talking bear every investigator wants on their team. Click on the Ghost Stop banner ad at the top of the show's website and pick up your Blue Buddy today. Go to spring.com and sign up to create your own design or choose from a design from one of the many creators on there. Spring has ways to integrate your store on social media, custom stores, and they have digital and physical products. While you're there, check out the Talk in the Night merch store. To get started with Spring today, click on the banner ad on the Talk in the Night website. Go to the show's website and click on the links for each of my guests and purchase a book or other product that they may be promoting. Without them, there would be no Talk in the Night. Whether you're interested in the paranormal, conspiracy, technology, health, relationships, or any other topic the show covers, my guests have something for you. Check it out today on talkingthenight.com.
Wichita, doubt my salvation on account of all the ways I've gone wrong, and I'm lonesome, lonesome and lonely. I've been searching for the banks of peace like a river, with a worn out liver and a hole in my soul. Winter time's coming these days, it's shorter than my temper. I can't wrestle with my angels, and they got a blue heel on my throat.
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Bill. Okay, and we are back with my guest, Lynne Cockrum-Murphy, as we continue talking about energy healing and spiritual teaching. The phone lines are open if you want to call in and ask my guest a question. Also on Spreaker.com, sign up for a free account. You can chat, and I got people in the chat asking questions. So let me get to the question that I had earlier about it. Let's see. Okay, where is it? Now, we talked about the ability to kind of shut down that ability and everything like that. And this person has a problem being able to shut down that intuitive or psychic ability even when sleeping. Is there any suggestions for that?
Okay. I would put white light around myself, and then I would ask your favorite highest entity, whether it's Kuan Yin, Buddha, Jesus, whomever, to stand by your bed while you sleep. And I would also download that I am impervious to dark forces. I'm impervious to dark energies. And I know how to live without attracting them. I attract the light. And if you want those things, just say yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And one more quick question from the chat here. She asked, do you charge for your services? And I'm going to add to that question a little bit, and how much?
I do charge for my services. I will do a 15-minute consultation with a person for free because I want them to know whether or not they're comfortable working with me if they really want to. And then I charge $200 an hour for the first 3 sessions or a single session. And then if they do a package of 4, I reduce the price by $50 on the 4th one.
Okay.
And if a person, needs a scholarship and is desperate, wants to talk to me about that, we can do that. But it wouldn't cover all the price because I think that there's so much value in giving and receiving.
Yeah, because I know a lot of times when I'm helping, opening myself to the spirit world and everything like that, a lot of I do charge, not as much as you do, but I do charge a little bit because I look at it as I'm using my energy. Now, people might say, well, you're doing it for the money. Well, no, it does take energy to contact the spirits and use your own energy to get those messages out to them.
And it requires your time.
Yeah, that
and your
too.
Training and your, keeping your head clear, being available. Yeah, it's an exchange of energy. Theirs is monetary, yours is spirit.
Yeah. Now, we were talking, I'm trying to remember what we were talking about before the break, but I know
I have 2 things written down that I can talk about if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay. You mentioned the pandemic and how during this time people have been losing faith, and that I hear a lot of concerns and a lot of questions too. And I think it's because we've been through an unprecedented time and we don't really know what to think about it, except that we know things are changing. So I guess what I would suggest is practicing acceptance. Things are different. They're going to continue to be different. They may become even more different than I expected. And that's okay because change is a normal state. Things do not stay the same ever.
Yeah, our world is constantly changing, whether it be for the good or the bad. Now, a lot of people prefer the good over the bad, but it's always going to change. I mean, think about it. A little over 200 years ago, we were fighting a revolutionary war here in the United States and everything like that, and just living in log cabins and stuff like that we built with our own hands and with no electricity, everything. And now look at all the technology that we have, and it's a whole nother vibrational energy. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Things have changed dramatically, and 200 years is not very long in human history.
Yeah. Now, how have you helped people in, because I know people that have relationship issues and stuff like that, and I try to help them the best that I can, living all the problems that I've had in relationships where I've been ghosted, I've been cheated on, been lied to, So I use my experiences to try and help them. But again, like I said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But how do you help them?
Good one. We look for patterns. Is a person always attracting people that betray them? And we look for what belief systems that person has about being betrayed. And or did they have parents that had some of those behaviors or were also betrayed? And then work to clear that, because nobody has to live with that. So there's usually a family program, a personal program, a limiting belief. We pull that, we ask Creator to pull that and replace it with generally the opposite, with something really positive. And I might also add some downloads to support that and hold that stay in place.
Okay, so you basically, like in what you talked about in the Theta healing, if I could talk.
Yeah.
My tongue sometimes gets messed up. But anyways, downloading that, not the affirmation, but downloading that into the person's conscious mind to where it's going to stay there.
Right. Yeah. And if they say yes, then it stays. And also looking for what limiting beliefs are making relationships so difficult. Because a person may believe, I'm unworthy, I'm unwanted, I can't ever be enough. Things that, and sometimes you'll see it, especially with money. You see it going back generations to the Great Depression. I always lose my money. I always lose the farm. Yeah. Those kinds of things can be changed, whether it's relationships or, in this case, my example was money. It can all be changed. We do not have to, and we're not meant to, stay in suffering.
Yeah. Like me, I mean, I left California. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, and I enjoyed California to a certain extent. I didn't enjoy the politics, but I enjoyed, like, the weather. It was constantly nice year round, just about it. I mean, it would be hot during the summer months, but I mean, I was used to the heat. Now I'm dealing with tornadoes and humidity and everything else that I didn't experience out there. But anyways, I made a conscious decision that I was working a small amusement park, and I wasn't doing that great on money. I was struggling, making it paycheck to paycheck and everything like that. And I had a truck that I was buying from my uncle, and a head gasket blew and everything like that. And it was close to tax time, and I made the decision, okay, when I get this refund back, do I want to stay here, fix the truck up, and try and find something better work, or do I want to go where I'm happy, which is Texas? And I said, I didn't have nothing lined up. I came here to Texas with a little over $1,000 and no real plan. I stayed 5 days in the hotel, and then I finally ended up having to, after not being able to find anything, housing or anything like that, I ended up going to a homeless shelter for 3 months just to help me get on my feet. But I made that conscious decision. Do I want to be miserable here in Southern California where I might not make anything, even doing what I love, or do I want to start a new life and start a new path?
Big decision. Good for you.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, my dad was from Texas, so I kind of grew up the Texas lifestyle, and I always felt Texas was home, so I made that conscious decision. Now, whether that was probably my guiding spirit saying, this is what you need to do. I don't know, but sometimes I don't listen to them.
Well, we all do that, you know? And you get a second or a third chance or fourth chance. It's just easier if you take the first one. And listening to your higher guidance or your inner voice or your gut, when there's a risk involved, it's harder. Doesn't mean we can't do it, you know? In fact, I kind of enjoy taking risks. It's kind of fun.
Now, I know we talked about this, and I don't know if my listener in the chat heard this about you, but I know you talked about being intuitive, and we briefly touched on psychic and mediumship and everything like that. But she wants to know, do you have, like, psychic abilities?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that... And maybe she means something different by psychic abilities than what I think. But to me, that's mostly being intuitive. It means sometimes you have dreams that are prophetic or they tell you things. And that isn't the biggest one for me. The biggest part of it for me is that knowing. So my intuitive abilities mean that I know, I see, I hear, and I feel. And those are my main ways of getting information. The knowing is, really automatic. Don't go there, or you need to meet this person, or it's time to get some rest. You just have knowing. The seeing means that you might have a vision. You might see, I know I used to see people's faces a lot as I was falling asleep. You might see entities. The hearing it's a fun one because sometimes you'll hear a complete sentence. Sometimes you just hear a word. But because of the way that it comes, it's different. It's not your own mind babbling like our minds tend to. It's guidance. Also, if you pay attention and over time practice discerning what is your guide's voice, what does the energy of an angel feel like when an angel comes present, then you get better and better at it just by tuning in and wanting to and asking for that gift of discernment. Okay,
because, she's asking, are they her strongest abilities? And I'm trying to kind of clarify a little bit here by what she means are your strongest abilities. Like intuitive and psychic abilities, because like I said, everybody's got that ability, but not everybody knows how to use it properly, or how to put it, or don't use it at all, or anything like that. Sometimes people don't listen to their intuition; they don't listen to their gut.
Yeah, I think I think anybody and everybody has it and can have more. And one of the things I did is I prayed for the gift of discernment so that I would know who was coming and talking to me. If it's a spirit, I want to be able to read its energy. Is it high vibrational or low vibrational? I want to be able to discern if I wake up in the middle of the night and feel an entity standing by my bed. Is it a guide or a teacher, someone higher vibrational, or is it someone I need to send to the light? Yeah. So it's really important to fine-tune your intuition and to be really clear that everything that goes through my mind isn't worth addressing. Yeah. Because our minds babble. But I also think about a woman who was mentally ill in Reno, Nevada, and she heard a voice tell her to drive down the sidewalk. And she did that, and she killed a lot of people. Wow. That is hearing a voice, but that's mental illness. It's not the same thing. Yeah. You really want clarity about what you're tuning into. Yeah,
and like I've talked about, being in the paranormal field almost like 30 years plus, I mean, I see it as if you're going to put in, like, let's use the Ouija board for example. A lot of people think the Ouija board's bad, but I don't think it's not the board itself. It's actually the intent that you put into it. If you put out that good energy, that light energy, that's what you're going to get back. If you put that dark energy into it, that's what you're going to get out of it as well. And same with the voices, the intuition, everything you got. If you're going to put that darker energy into it, that's exactly what you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to be really clear about that. That's why I said I wrap myself in light as I go to sleep. Actually, I did that for decades, and I don't so much have to anymore. But that's what I did until it just became a natural part of me.
All right. So now there are, as speaking of like the pandemic and everything like that, there are a lot of people feeling stuck and frustrated. How can this help people like that?
Okay. Oh, that's such a big deal, you know, and knowing people who've died from COVID, people who've had it more than once, too. It's really a big deal, and so I don't think that there are any simple answers, but I can say that when you have faith and trust in a system that really works for you, something that you know that you can hold on to and count on day and night, day in and day out, that it makes it a lot easier. I always felt very separate from how afraid people were of the pandemic. I didn't feel afraid. I felt aware of their fear, like I didn't have my own fear of it. And yet, you know, I have lost people to this pandemic. So it's not that it's not real to me. It's just outside of my inner experience. I guess that's how I would say it.
Okay.
Because within, that light gives me so much peace. So that's how I live my day. Doesn't mean I don't ever get annoyed or irritable, because I have hormones, so that does happen.
Yeah.
But I have that bigger picture, and I have a lot of faith and trust that everything is working out and everything is as it's supposed to be. I don't believe in accidents. I think all those lousy things that happened when I was a kid were part of my karma. They were really necessary for the growth so that I would become a compassionate, giving, spiritual person.
Yeah, and of course, I believe everything happens for a reason.
Right.
I mean, people can say coincidence or something like that, but I believe everything has a reason for happening.
I agree.
Now, you talked about downloading, talking to the guides and everything like that, and everything, and downloading that into people. And the question by my listener, do you kind of help them connect them with their spirit guides?
If a person asks me for that, absolutely. And usually your spirit guides are like right there with you as you're asking.
Yeah.
And I will see them or sense them, you know, like over your shoulder, and describe who I see, give you a name if it comes up. And also tell the person what that spirit guide is with them for. Because some are there and they're very silent, but their energy is what you need. Others are there and they give you ideas in your head, you know, and that's their role. And people often have, generally have four. They can be angels or humans, fairies. I've seen a lot of different kinds. And the only person I ever saw with 7 of them was a woman going through a divorce, a not very unpleasant divorce. So, yeah, talk to him. Try talking to him. Ask him to give you signs. Ask them to have conversations with you in your sleep. And then, as soon as you wake up, write those things down for yourself so you remember them, because it's so hard to remember what happened in our dreams.
Okay, and this kind of this. I'll go ahead and finish your thought, and I'll get into this real quick.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah. So write it down, because so much that happens in our sleep is really important. It's like another whole aspect of our life. So if you're getting messages there, write them down so that you can think about them, contemplate them.
Okay, now you talked. This kind of goes off of that last question. Is the feeling that their guides want to communicate, but they're a bit nervous about it. How can they overcome that fear barrier?
I think your guides are aware if you're ready. If you don't have wise guides, ask for new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they should be in tune with you.
Yeah.
And if they know that you're ready, and you ask them to communicate with you, in your dreams or messages, or some people they do that through leave me symbols, and it's often feathers and dimes for some reason. So leave me symbols. Show me that you're there. Speak to me in my dreams, and help me to remember that when I wake up. Things like that, and see what changes. For me, it was slow. I certainly didn't have these abilities when I was 20.
Yeah.
Or, and by the time I was 25, they were developing. But it wasn't until I trained in Theta healing that I really became confident and certain that I was intuitive and I have these abilities, and, let's do this.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like I said, I've always had this ability since at least 5 years old that I know of. That's the earliest I can remember. But not everybody, sometimes that ability hits people later in life. There was a ghost tour that I was on and out in Beverly Hills, California, and somebody was there. Of course, I was the guy monitoring the cameras outside, so I had people stand by me and everything like that and stuff like that. And this person mentioned that she was new to her abilities. Well, she went into this home that was next door to it because it was part of the investigation. The house that we were investigating normally has that lighter energy to it, whereas the house next to it had that darker energy to it. And she came out of it and feeling sick and everything like that. And of course, I helped her in a way that a lot of people probably wouldn't be able to do. But I didn't really do anything really special. But rather just said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Because, she was physically feeling ill and everything because of that darker energy. And I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, and imagine the brightest white light that you can imagine. She did that. Instantly, she felt better.
Oh, good.
So,
well done.
And from talking to you, I think that's exactly what you're kind of putting that energy towards them, like that white light that you mentioned around you, that you're kind of projecting that white light onto them and making them imagine their own white light to make them feel better.
And often with a client, I'll even hold their hand for a minute so that they can feel my energy and raise theirs up to that level. Touch is a positive thing, and I know that counselors are really taught not to touch their clients, and it has to be done very carefully and respectfully. But it does help. It makes a difference.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the break, so we'll be right back after the short commercial break, and more questions with my guest, Lynne Cockrum-Murphy, as we talk about energy healing and spiritual teaching and much more. We'll be right back after the short commercial break.
When the night could be sweet, until you swept me up from my feet down. The rain sings, the cup smiles, he finds me with style. The car got up, flat tire, but riding shotgun eyes, someone like you. So every day, when the alarm blows my ears, I see you slipping on the pearls and clears.
Do you need music for your radio show, podcast, or YouTube channel, but need a music license to play it on your show? Well, go to artlist.io and check out the plans they have. They have 3 plans to choose from: personal, unlimited, and enterprise. All the music that you hear on the show is from Artlist, and there is a banner ad on the show's website. Check it out today. Do you love the strange, unusual, and weird unexplained mysteries? Do you like reading about the paranormal and other happenings? Well, I have the website for you, unexplainedmysteries.com. On there you will find so much, such as the latest news and articles, forums, news with video, and so much more. That's unexplained-mysteries.com, or you can click on the banner ad on the show's website to take you right there. Do you love history? Do you wonder what happened on this day in history? Well, check out history.com/this day in history and find out what happened on this day in recorded history. You can also click on the image on the Talk of the Night website under This Day in History and check out one of the many things that happened. The show's website lists a different event in history every day, so check it out today.
Wash me in the water, cleanse me in the mercy of your love. I need a heavenly touch, 'cause I'll be backsliding. I need a little guiding for my soul. Only heaven knows, 'cause I just need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. Okay, and we are back in the last segment of the show with my guest, Lynne Cockrum-Murphy, as we talk about energy healing and spiritual healing. Now, I do have a question from the listening audience, but I asked a clarification thing on it, so I'm waiting for an answer to that. But before we get into, while I'm waiting on that, we talked about Theta healing, but what all does the session or seminars entail?
A seminar? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. A 3-day class is a seminar. I have one coming up April 1st and another one starting April 20th. The 3-day classes, they're about 7 to 8 hours a day. And in it, I teach people how to get into the theta brainwave state. I help them clear their blocks to that, whether they feel unworthy or that they can't or whatever. I show them how it works. And then I have my students start helping each other identify limiting beliefs and pulling limiting beliefs and replacing them with positives through the download process. So in that first 2 days of class, they get so that they can identify if a person is saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, and so on, what that limiting belief is that makes them think that they can't. When we're all full of potential and possibility, we can do all kinds of things. Why would that person be saying, I can't, I can't?
Yeah.
So that's what they learn, and then, there's so much more. We do things like sending love to a person as baby in the womb for people who weren't wanted when they were babies. We do healing the broken soul, healing the broken heart. There are, let me grab my book here. There are so many different things that we can do for a person. One is if a person's been through surgery and been unconscious or ever knocked unconscious, then there is a way that we can help them release whatever happened during the surgery, because sometimes people have heard really awful things said during the surgery by the people in the operating room.
Yeah.
So that's stuff that we can release. We also do open the chakras, clean the chakras. God, there is so much.
Yeah. So I got clarification on the question, because the question was, is it possible we can work with other people's spirit guides? And I was trying to ask her, do you mean my guest or like yourself or something like that? And kind of the way I see it is, I think what she's asking is, can people learn to work with other people's spirit guides? But also I wanted to ask you, have you worked with other people's guides?
Yes, that often when I'm teaching a class, I will bring forth a message for a person from their guide, especially if they never talk to their guides. Then I help to make that connection. I've done that for teenagers. Besides the people in my class, it's like it's opening a door that they're ready to open, but they just don't quite know how to turn the handle and make it so. So absolutely, we can do that.
Okay. Now, we talked about the Theta healing and the seminars and everything like that. Now, another thing I noticed on your site is Conscious Growth Program. What is that all about?
Mm-hmm. That's a program that I created where I use multiple tools to help a person identify what they really want in life and to make it into manageable pieces and then start the process to bring it into their life. And that includes manifesting. So if you want a new job, if you want a new house, if you want to stop attracting boyfriends that always lose their job after they get into a relationship with you, we can change any of those things. And we can do it with manifesting, and we can do it with changing beliefs and such. As always, I look to the person as to what they're looking for and what they want. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Because, like I said, I noticed that, and I was like, is it something similar to what you're already teaching with the Theta healing sessions and the seminars and everything like that?
It's just that I can go, when I teach Theta healing, I'm very true to what Vianna Stibble created, and I don't bring in other modalities because that would be untrue to her and not in integrity. So when I teach something that I've created, then I can bring in everything I know and put it all together for people.
So you pretty much kind of follow a plan that she set forth in the original setup that she came up with on the Theta healing. With her classes, I do. I'm true to her when I teach that. And then with mine, I can offer everything that I know and do a lot of channeling, which is not something I do on a regular basis. I can do it. I just
don't always.
Yeah,
So that's the
it
place where you'd
tends
get more
to
back.
use a lot of energy, as I already know about that. But now we talked. I wanted to just notice a question that because I have guiding questions that I type out to like kind of give me an idea of what I want to ask and everything like that, and I just put them in the wrong order. But anyways, going back to the seminar, when I clicked on the seminars, it shows like 6 different seminars. What does each one entail?
Is that the one that says basic, advanced, dig deep,
Let me see. Let me get to it.
rhythm, and rainbow children?
Let's see. Where was it?
I would think that those are Theta healing courses that I offer. I offer 6 of them.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, like basic Theta healing seminar.
Yeah.
Advanced, yeah.
Yeah. And you have to, with that, you have to do basic and advanced and digging deeper before you can take very many of the others. I think Rainbow Children is the only one that's an exception because kids can take that too. Young kids, teenagers, etc. And it's very experiential. You get a little bit of everything at Theta Healing. And I don't have any of those on my schedule right now. But if somebody wanted it, I put it on the schedule and we'd make sure that enough people show up that you have a powerful experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I saw that and I wanted to, because I noticed the different prices and everything like that. And I wanted to see what kind of each one, basically, not going into too deep in detail, but see what each one kind of entailed and covered and everything.
Well, one thing I wanted to point out about the basic classes, every time you take a class, you become certified at that level. So the first class, that basic Theta Healing, you become a certified Theta Healer at the end of those 3 days. I give you the certificate, and I register you with the Theta Healing website so that you can put up a sign saying, I'm a Theta Healer. And people will find you through that website or through your own.
Now, another quick question before, because there's some questions I want to get into before we end the night, but real quick from my listener, are there some Theta waves on YouTube, like meditation stuff that people can tap into that energy?
Yeah, you can look at Vienna Stibbles. I think I have some there. Also, I don't love the quality of them, but I think I have some there also. A person can call me and just ask for that 15-minute consultation so that they have a little taste of it and see if they want more.
All right.
That's another option. Or you can watch Vienna Stibbles, or there are other people, too, that have recorded things on there. Some of my classmates, Vika from New York, I think that she has some on there. So, yeah, I would check them out.
Okay. Now, on your website, you got a thing that says free guide on your website, and it mentions 9 ways to bolster your resilience. What are those 9 different ways?
I have to pull it up to remember them all. I wrote that.
Yeah, I like to throw my guest off a lot sometimes with questions because, I tend to do a lot of research into each guest because I want to ask them. A lot of times I have too many questions to go, like, I could go 5 hours with the questions, but my butt can't sit down for more than 2.
So resilience is what I did my doctoral research on when I got my doctorate. And it's about, like living through a pandemic. Life is really challenging. So how is it that some people go, oh, piece of cake, and they thrive? And other people feel like they're wearing waders and they're just mucking their way through life. Resilience is one of those things. And it's how a kid will grow up saying, I can't. And his brother will grow up saying, I can. The I can kid is resilient. And the I can't kid didn't get that resilience. So if you have resilience, you bounce back better. And so that article is about ways to bolster your resilience, acknowledge the resilience you already have. So, for instance, if something is bothering you, instead of just going, God, I wish I knew, you go to the library and you look it up, or you get on the internet and you look it up, or you ask someone in your family that you think has it together, and you ask them, tell me about that. How come you have it together? How'd you do that? So there's a lot of really practical stuff in there.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the show, like my parents taught me, if you want something, you want to learn how to do something, you want something, you have to get out there, learn it, get out there, do it, and otherwise, nothing's handed to you, basically.
For most of us, that's true. It isn't handed to us. We need to decide what we want, and go after it, and take those action steps. Absolutely.
No.
And
okay.
Generally, you can have a lot. You know, like, don't limit yourself. Go for the gold. Go big.
Mm-hmm. Now we're slowly running out of time. On there, I noticed you got a Sacred Spirit podcast. Is that yours or somebody else's? And do you kind of co-host or?
I've done both. I've done my own for a while, and I was on a lot of other people's podcasts. But there's maybe a dozen of them there that are ones that I did where I interviewed people. And then I just realized that, like, oh my God, this is a huge commitment. It's kind of like your radio show. It's like, it's a big commitment. Like you said, it's almost a full-time job. So, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. But they're there, and you can listen to them.
Okay, so you no longer do the podcast. Okay, I wanted to make sure, but I did see the podcast, so the episodes and everything, so I wanted to ask about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to ask what they covered, but unfortunately, since you don't do them anymore, it's kind of hard to ask what they cover.
Well, mostly they were, interviewing people about their work and their gifts and their talents. One of the women is a psychic tarot reader. There are just all kinds of people on there.
Okay, now, hold on. I'm just checking something. I got too many screens to look at. All right. Let's real quick talk about your books and what they're about.
Okay. So my first book is called Living Hope, and it's Steps to Leaving Suffering Behind, and it's how I got out of the place of being really unhappy because of what happened when I was growing up. And so it's a lot of truth, and it's my story, and I've heard it's made more than one person cry. The second book is Unfolding the Mystery of Self, and it's about spiritual experiences that I've had and how my world changed because of that, and that always choosing a spiritual path meant that my life got better and better and better. So those two are not nonfiction.
Okay.
And then in the fiction category, I wrote A Journey with Matthew, Book 1 and 2. Book 1 is Awakening. Book 2 is Living God Consciousness. And it's totally fictitious. It's set in another time. And there are no automobiles yet. I don't think there's electricity yet. And Matthew just goes on a journey and takes his friend Daniel with him. And Daniel's always been amazed by Matthew's life. And the more that he's around Matthew, he thinks that Matthew's really a special, unique, gifted person. And maybe he'd like to be like him. So he starts studying him. and asking questions and learning from him. And there are some miraculous things that happens. And because of that, Daniel realizes if he does what Matthew does, when bad things happen and he wants to help, miracles happen. Okay. And so it's about that whole growth process. And it's just a very sweet story with just a little bit of romance in it.
Okay, so, I mean, it just kind of gives you those inspirational stories, if you will, to maybe think, okay, I've experienced this, so maybe this, reading about this, I've gone through this, maybe that's what I need. That's the thinking that I need.
That's exactly what it is. Really, you really nailed it. It's meant to inspire you to try some new and different things, and it gives you examples.
Okay, so we're kind of running low on time. Where can people find out more information about you, your services, books? And I had down podcasts, but of course, like you said, you don't no longer do those. So, but about your services, what they cost, the books, where they can pick them up.
My website is www.lynnecockrum-murphy.com. So if you type in Lynne Cockrum-Murphy, you will get to me, but you can also find me on Google and several other places. I'm on the Theta Healing website also, the Institute's website, and I'm on Facebook. I do Facebook Lives, and you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram also.
Okay, yeah, and of course, for anybody listening, whether it be live or recorded after the show's off the air, on the Talk of the Night website, talkofthenight.com, there is a banner ad at the top of the page that I make for all my guests, just to give them free promotion, because I charge for advertising, but I like to return that favor to my guests for coming on the show and give them free advertisement for that week that they're on. So you can click on that banner ad, and it'll take you right to our website and everything like that. Now, if people want to get a hold of you because they want to go through one of these sessions or the seminars or the Conscious Growth Program, do they do that through the website, or is there like a phone number that they can reach you at or anything like that?
There are such a host of ways to reach me. Through the website is probably the easiest because there's a contact page. But if you say you want to take a basic class or the conscious class, that all you have to do is click on it, pay for it. I get the email. There's also Calendly. If you schedule with me through Calendly, we're set up, and we can either do the 15-minute consultation or an hour reading. If you want the classes, they're all listed on there too. There's that way. There's through the Theta Healing Institute. You can call me at 602-569-6078. So I think those are the main ways. You can also reach me through Instagram or Facebook Live. Okay. Or Facebook. Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show, sharing your knowledge about Theta healing and stuff like that. Something that somebody might not know about, that might be going through a lot of the stuff that we talked about tonight, and might be feeling like there's no place to turn. Well, now they hear the show and think, okay, now I got some place that I can turn to.
So true. There's always hope, and there's always support. Just ask. And I wanted to thank you, Phil. It's a delightful show, and I'm really glad I got to be part of it, and that your audience asked questions. That's so cool.
Yeah. All right. So, again, thank you again. And for those listening, tomorrow night, join me as we got an interesting show tomorrow. We're going to be joined by my guest, Dave Shelton, as we talk about his paranormal encounters, his work in TV and film, as well as some other projects. We'll also talk about the editing of my good friend David Oman's book, Ghost of Cielo Drive, how he got into editing that, his music, his artwork, his cartoons and stuff like that. And of course about his music comedy series, Cemetery Go-Go. There's a lot of stuff on his website. Again, all the stuff from our guests are linked up on the Talk of the Night website. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, be on all the shows Talk of the Night, social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Discord, Instagram. I'm always posting when I'm live. I'm posting about that night's guest up on those websites and everything, those social media sites. And I'm always out there. And also, if you want to advertise on the show, go to talkofthenight.com. There's a page. Let me get to it real quick. Under the radio show tab, there's a sub tab, advertise on Talk of the Night. You can go there or contact me at talkofthenight@outlook.com. Same if you want to be a guest on the show. If you got some interesting topic, it doesn't have to be about the paranormal. Like last night, we talked about politics and political climate. It does not have to, the only thing I don't do is music and sports. The only music I do is the commercial breaks and the bumper music. But everything else, pretty much, I'm willing to talk about. So send me shoot me an email at talkingthenight@outlook.com. I will gladly get to it as soon as I can. I know right now I'm booked up over a month with guests, and I got many more that I still got to contact. So I will get to you as soon as I can. But again, thank you, Lynne, for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you on, learning about this stuff, and I wish you a good night.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye now.
All right, and for those that are, like I said, tomorrow night, again, Dave Shelton. Check out all the banner ads up on the Talk of the Night website. And I'm going to kind of end it a little bit early tonight just because the storm's coming in and I don't want my power going out or anything like that. But other than that, until tomorrow night when I welcome my guest, Dave Shelton, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talk in the Night. Late at night, darkness has fallen. Turn on the radio, and you hear him talking. Listening to what he has to say, all about paranormal and all of the things. When he sounds off, you can hear